Welcome. With this lecture, we'll be moving on to the next topic. It is neural networks or artificial neural networks. So basically, artificial neural networks is also a part of artificial intelligence. And today, the concept of machine learning and deep learning, especially deep learning, is famous. And deep learning works because of neural networks, right? The underlying principle of deep learning is nothing but neural networks. So in the next few lectures, we'll be trying to understand like how neural networks works, right? Okay. So the concept of neural networks is actually was inspired from biological neurons. So as the name says, it is neural networks. So it is actually inspired from biological nervous system. So if you consider the biological nervous system, brain is the center part of the human nervous system. Center part in the sense it's the control center. It is all inputs were received in the brain and then it is processed and then the decisions are made. Okay. So in the human nervous system, there are a large number of interconnecting points. These interconnecting points are called as neurons. So here some processing will be done. Each neuron is approximately 10 micrometer in length and they can work in parallel. Multiple neurons can work in parallel so that we are able to, the humans are able to process things parallelly. Our sense organs, different sense organs collect information and we are able to process it simultaneously. It is because the human body is empowered with neurons. Okay. So a human brain consists of 10 to the power 11 neurons and they communicate with each other through electrical pulses. So basically how one neuron communicates with another neuron in the sense they create very small electrical pulses. Because of these electrical pulses, the neurons are able to communicate. For example, if you feel heat in your hand, then that will be sensed by a neuron and it will be communicated to the neighboring neuron, right? So on and so forth. So this is the human brain. So the this part is called as the gray matter. This is cerebellum. This is spinal cord. And if you see the normal biological nervous system, this is the neuron. This is a neuron. So this part of the neuron is called as soma, and this nucleus kind of thing is called as core, right? And this branch which is extending from a neuron is called as axon. So at the end of the axon, if you see, there are many small branches were getting generated. These small branches are called as dendrites. Okay. Some of these dendrites are called as synapses. So synapses are the dendrites which connects a neuron with another neuron. So for example, you may have another neuron here. It may have its axon and also it will have dendrites. So if one of its dendrites connected with the next neuron dendrites, then this dendrite and this dendrite is called a synapse. Okay. So dendrite is a bush of very thin fiber. So this is called as, all these are called as dendrites. Axon, a long cylindrical fiber. This is axon. Soma, it is also called a cell body. This is called a soma. Okay. And synapse, it is a junction where axon makes contact with the dendrites of neighboring dendrites. So so there is a chemical in each neuron called neurotransmitter. So communication is actually happening through this neurotransmitter. A signal is transmitted across neuron by this chemical. So this chemical is the one which carries the electrical signal. The neurotransmitter is the one which carries the electrical signal which is created by the neuron. So all the inputs from other neuron arrive to a neurons through dendrites. Okay. So all inputs from other neurons arrive to a particular neuron through dendrites. And these signals are accumulated at the synapse of the neuron and then serve as the output to be transmitted through the neuron. Right? I mean, each neuron will receive input from other neurons, and finally they will make some decisions, and based on that, an output may be communicated to other neurons. So that's what the point is. Okay. An action may produce an electrical impulse which usually lasts for about a millisecond. So when any actions were created, it will create see that means when the human is sensing something, some electrical impulse will be created, and this will typically last for 1 millisecond, right? So this point is important. Note that the pulse generated due to an incoming signal and all the signal may not produce pulses in axon unless it crosses a threshold value. Okay. Also note that an action signal in axon of a neuron is a commutative signal arrive at dendrites which summed up at SOMO. Okay. That is, if you take a single neuron, it's not only going to receive input from one neuron, it is going to receive input from multiple neurons, and these will be summed up. This will be summed up, right? So this summed up value creates the action. This summed up value only we are calling it as action. Now now it may not produce any action at all. Okay, the pulse generated due to an income may not produce now. So these different inputs from different neurons, it will be summed up here, and that is we are calling it as action. Now this action may not create a further impulse if this action does not exceeds the threshold limit. Only if the summed up value exceeds the threshold limit, then only this neuron will produce some output signal. If it is not exceeding the threshold limit, then it will not produce any output signal. Okay. So basically, human brain is a very complex structure. Actually, we cannot. It is not that easy to model the human brain, but here we are trying to. So artificial neural network, it basically tries to model the basic working principle of human brain. Right? We cannot. You cannot model the entire brain as it is. Right? So the human brain is highly complex structure. It is a highly interconnected network of simple processing elements called neurons. Artificial neural networks, which are simplified models of the biological nervous system. Right? It is not a perfect model of a biological nervous system. So our technology has not developed to that extent to perfectly model a human brain. Right? Obviously, therefore, have been motivated by the kind of computing performed by the human brain. So this field of artificial neural network is inspired or motivated by the working of human brain, but it is a simplified model. It has some limitations. Okay, so we are basically trying to capture the behavior of a biological neural network through the artificial neural network. Okay, so with this introduction, let us try to understand how a artificial neural network works. So before that, let us see the difference between a biological neural network and an artificial neural network. So this is a biological neuron. So this is a neuron. If you see this neuron, basically it receives input from other neurons through the dendrites. Okay, and this will be summed up. This will be summed up in the cell body, and then based on the strength of this signal, based on the strength of this summed up value, it may create an output signal or it may not create. So this is a very basic way of understanding the neuron. Now this can be simulated something like this. Okay, here we have a neuron, right? And this neuron receives receives input from multiple other neurons. These multiple neurons from which it is receiving inputs can be called as x1, x2, x3, so on and so forth up to xn. Now each of these x1 are associated with some weight. Okay, here x1 is associated with weight w1, x2 is associated with weight w2, x3 is w3, so on and so forth. So here also in biological neuron also, so every neuron is producing some signal. but the strength of some signals may be more than the strength of some other signal, right? For example, say you are eating something, so you feel the sweetness of that. Okay, at the same time you are saying something, you are watching a you are watching a movie or a natural scenery, then you may enjoy that. But at the same time, say you are experiencing some intense pain in some part of the body, then obviously this pain will have more weight than these things, right? So what I'm trying to say is, in the normal biological neuron also, every every neurons or every signal, it's not just a signal, every signal has also an associated weight. The weight says like how intense the signal is. So that is why here we are associating a weight with every input. We are associating a weight, w1 with x1, w2 with x2, so on and so forth, wn with x. Now this in this here we are, what we are going to do is we are going to perform the weighted sum. That is, we are going to do w1 x1 plus w2 x2 plus w3 x3, so on and so forth, wn xn. We are going to do this. After calculating this, then we check whether it has exceeded a threshold limit or not. So if some threshold limit we keep. So if this weighted sum is greater than a threshold limit, then we produce an output 1. Otherwise, we produce an output 0. So this is a very naive way or a simple way to model a biological neuron. But this is the working principle of artificial neural network. Okay. So whatever I have shown, we have discussed. That's what's shown here in this diagram. Now, yeah, you can see that. So this here summation. So this can be represented by a equation. The output of this is, we call it as I. Then we can say that I is equal to w1 x1 plus w2 x2, so on and so forth up to wn x. And this can be further written as sigma I equal to 1 to n wi xi. Okay. To generate the final output, what we do, the sum is passed through a filter. So this phi is called as a filter. It is otherwise also called as a transfer function. So it can be called as a filter or a transfer function. Okay. So this filter, what it does, it checks whether this weighted sum, it exceeds a threshold limit or not. If it exceeds the threshold limit, it produces 1 as output. Otherwise, it produces 0 as output. That's what is happening. So so that is what is being mentioned here as a equation. A very common known transfer function is a threshold function. If this thresholding sum, that is I, is compared with the threshold value theta. If the value of I is greater than theta, then the output is 1. Else it is 0. So this is represented with this equation. Y is equal to phi. Phi is nothing but what? Transfer function of this entire thing. I equal to 1 to n sigma wxi minus theta. So we compare this with theta. If this value, okay, if this value, for example, if this value is less than theta, right, then what will happen? Then this will result in a negative number. Okay. So if it results in a negative number, it will be converted to 0. Suppose if this value is greater than 0 theta, then it will result in a positive number. Okay. If it results in a positive number, then that will be converted to 1. So that's what represented here. Phi of 1. If I greater than theta, then the output will be 1. Otherwise, if I less than or equal to theta, then the output will be 0. Okay. So basically, this type of transfer function is also called a step function, or it is also called as Heaviside function. Right. So 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 instead of, so there is, so this is one particular example for transfer function. Actually, different neural networks use different transfer function. This is a very simplified version of the transfer function, but we have many different types of transfer function. For example, this is a hard limit transfer function. This is what we have discussed. What we have discussed here, it is nothing but it is also can be called as a hard limit transfer function. That is, if the weighted sum exceeds a threshold, then here this is the threshold theta. Okay. So if the weighted sum exceeds this value, then the output is 1. Otherwise, the output will be 0. That is a hard limit threshold. Otherwise, it can be a signum transfer function. In a signum transfer function, if the weighted sum is greater than theta, it produces 1. Otherwise, it produces minus 1. Okay, if the weighted sum is greater than theta, if it produces 1, less than or equal to theta, if it produces 0, then that is called as hard limit transfer function. Greater than theta if it produces 1, and less than or equal to theta if it produces 0, then that is called a signum transfer function. So this is just a mathematical way of representing the hard limit transfer function. If I is nothing but weighted sum greater than theta 1, I less than or equal to theta 0. This is nothing but a linear transfer function or signum transfer function. That is, if I greater than or equal to theta, then the output is plus 1. If I less than or equal to theta, then the output is minus 1. Right? So it is also known as signum or quantizer function. Linear transfer function is otherwise called as signum function or quantizer function. Okay? These are other names. We have also other transfer function. For example, we have log sigmoid transfer function and tan sigmoid. Okay, log and tan sigmoid transfer function. These are quite famous transfer function. So the log sigmoid transfer function is given by this equation. It is phi of I. I is nothing but that. If phi is nothing but represents transfer function. I represents the weighted sum is equal to 1 by 1 plus e to the power alpha I. Okay. This alpha is some constant, or you can simply say 1 by 1 plus e to the power minus I. Right? I is nothing but what? Our weighted sum. Okay. To this we are adding this alpha, but actually alpha it's not required also. Right? So this type of transfer function is called a sigmoid transfer function. And similarly, we have a tan h transfer function. So this tan h transfer function is represented again like this: e power L minus e to the power. So again, this alpha can be excluded. So it is e power L minus e to the power minus L, sorry, I. Okay, e power I, e to the power minus I divided by e to the power I plus e to the power minus I. Again, this I is nothing but the weighted sum. Okay, so in most of the deep learning networks, they use any one of these two transfer function, either log sigmoid or tan sigmoid. So this is the plot of the log sigmoid transfer function. If you see, so this is the log sigmoid transfer function. It is something like this. That is, it varies from -1 to +1. Okay. So previously, whatever the transfer function we have seen, they have strict boundaries. Hard limit can take either 1 or 0. Linear transfer function can take either +1 or -1. But that is not the case with log sigmoid transfer function. The sigmoid transfer function can take values in the range of -1 to +1. Okay, it is of this range. Okay, and what it shows in the sense, this diagram, what it shows in the sense, if it shows the value of alpha, if alpha is 0.5, if you set alpha is 0.5, then the value taken by the log sigmoid will be like this. It will be of this form, the curve. Okay, if alpha is 1, then it will be like this. Okay, if alpha is less than 0.5, for example it is 0.3, then it will be like this. If you keep on, so depending, by adjusting the value of alpha, you can transform the curve. So depending on your requirement, you can set the value for alpha. That is what it says. So basically alpha is a parameter which is to be learned. Okay, so let us not go much into that, but alpha controls the curve. Similarly, in tan sigmoid also, so log sigmoid, it takes values from log sigmoid. Log sigmoid function basically it takes values from 0 to 1. Okay, whereas tan sigmoid function, it takes values from -1 to +1 in this range. Okay, so again here alpha controls the structure of the or the shape of the curve. Right. Okay, so that's what it says. Okay, so basically artificial neural networks, so we are using basically to map the input with the output, and they can learn by examples. They can be trained with known example of a problem. And so normally artificial neural networks are used to identify, basically it is used for object detection or image recognition for these type of fields. And 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 they possess the capability to generalize. That is, once they learn something, it can be generalized, right? That this is the power to apply in application where exact mathematical model to a problem are not possible, right? So only when a perfect mathematical model is not possible, only in such case we go for machine learning or deep learning, right? And deep learning basically it uses ANN, and ANN are robust system and fault tolerant. Fault tolerant in the sense, if one of the neuron fails, the entire system will not fail. They can therefore recall full patterns from incomplete, partial, or noisy patterns. Okay. And they can process information in parallel because all neurons work in a synchronized way, at a high speed and in a distributed manner. Thus, a massively parallel distributed processing system made up of highly interconnected neural network elements having the ability to learn and acquire knowledge is possible. So if you want to take the benefit of artificial neural network or artificial neural networks or deep learning, then your system should have special processors called GPUs. So normally NVIDIA provide a special type of processor called DGX. So only with the DGX you can take the benefit of artificial neural networks, right? Because these neurons should work parallelly, and that is not possible with a normal processor, right? So this is a brief introduction to artificial neural networks. We'll continue the discussion further. So let us stop here for today's discussion. Thank you.